Hello, my name is James Bell, and I am here to do a demonstration on what the Italians call salumi, we call curing here in Montana. And we'll be working with pork jowl as well as lots of salt. Before we get started here today, I would like to give a special thanks to, once again, the library for having us so that we can perform these classes and hopefully people will get educated. Second of all, I would like to give a shout out to MCT for being here to record these classes. They've done this often now and it will be continual. So thanks, good shout out to them. Today the pork jowl that I have is from a Montana provider. He's out of Belgrade. He's called Montana Wagyu. I've loved buying a product from him in the past. If anybody is interested at all in pursuing doing their own guanciale, I would be able to give you a contact for him at some point. He will do retail and FedEx the jowls to you. Other than that, I would go to your local butcher if you use one, or go to the good food store. They're usually pretty good about getting different cuts. Also, if you're unable to find pork jowl, pork belly works pretty much just the same. For the Italians, this is a cut that is well prized in its flavor. It's a part of the animal, obviously, that does a lot of work. It has close contact to the food, and it cures really well. It could be used for multiple reasons. By the end of the curing process and the drying process, you can actually shave this nice and thin and eat it with a charcuterie platter. You won't have to add any salt because it'll be nice and salty. So one of the recipes that I've looked at and has helped me be guided into the curing process is this salumi book. They're true Italian, and what they would actually be doing with this jowl today, aside from trimming it up, is be using only salt and pepper. And then you just go through the curing and drying process. Today, I'm going to use some sugar and a little bit of bay leaf as well as juniper in there, just to introduce the idea of being able to use different flavorings. And that's it. So for right now, I'm going to demonstrate what you need to do to break down this jowl and get it ready to cure. It's really pretty easy. If you're kind of squeamish with working for meat or with meat like this, you can ask your butcher to cut it up to a particular cut, clean off what I call the dirty bits, which is basically the rest of the glands and some of these inner muscle. So, you might be able to see here that there's an area along here, this ridge. Take your knife, which I have a basic filled knife that I'm using today. Just so you know, if you have some kind of flaying knife or anything thin and sharp like this, a sharp knife is also very much nice to have. So you just go in. Keep pulling back this tough area. And in the end, when you get this off, if you wanted to, you could soak it, save it, and use it in some kind of pork stock. Put it in a pot of beans. Basically, that's all there is to cleaning off this part of it. There might be a little silver skin onto the other side. I like to take it off. All right. Then you have a nice piece of fatty pork here. This weighs about 1.5 pounds. All right. So in calculating the weight, what most recipes call for is that you have a complete distribution of your cure to completely cover whatever it is you're curing. Let it be the jowl, for instance, today, or a pancetta, or even a ham, which would take a lot more curing ingredients than what I'll have here today. So what I put together is, like I said, the main ingredient would be salt. So I've got a cup of salt. Got a 1/4 cup of brown sugar. I like the brown sugar because in the end, after the curing process, it helps it to caramelize in the cooking that you're going to be doing, and it also adds a real nice flavor and helps to counteract any extra saltiness that you might get out of a heavy salting process. So what I've done, I've got some dried bay leaf. I'm going to use 4 of those. I've got 2 tablespoons of juniper and peppercorn all together in here. And just want to crush them up enough to where they'll blend into the salt and completely cover the jowl and introduce its flavor. Something about like that, as far as coarseness. You'll be able to see it in the salt. Then you just want to crunch up the bay leaf in there. So at first, what I'm going to do is rub it down with the salt mixture. Actually, I'm going to put a glove on first. I like to keep one clean hand. If you're doing this at home, obviously you don't need the glove as long as you have a nice kitchen that you can wash your hands in. Since I'm in the public, I'm going to go ahead and wear a glove. Plus, it's my preferred method at work. So I like to start the insides. Get a nice distribution of salt here, or seasoning. So then that's pretty much it. You'll end up having some of the cure mixture left over, so you'll set that aside. Once you get this in its cure, you're going to let it set for anywhere up to 3 weeks if you like, depending on what you tend to use it for. If you do let it go for 3 weeks, then that's the area where you can get into slicing it thin and eating it raw. It also just intensifies the flavoring. So that's all I want to do here. What I also do is I'll set this aside, let it sit around for about half an hour or so, see how much liquid is being drawn from it, and then I'll rub it down with some more of the cure as needed. Now, typical process in the curing is that you don't want to lose any more than 50% of its weight after you've added the cure to the meat. Since a lot of people don't actually have a ton of space in the refrigerator, a piece this size is great. And now what I'm going to do, and this is also easy, I'm just going to dump it into this Ziploc bag. And if you do have trays and containers like this, they're very nice and available. They're also good. You can simply wrap it. And what I suggest is turning and rubbing your pork once a day, once every 2 days, until you feel as though you're satisfied with the outcome. Squeeze as much air out of it as you possibly can, and then put it onto another tray, stick it in the refrigerator, and take care of it. Once you're ready to take it out of the bag, you can rinse it, pat it dry, and do another rinse with it, which the Italians like to do a lot, is rinse it down with some white wine, or just simply rub it down with a towel with some white wine. Add a little flavor, tradition. So that is it for my Guanciale demonstration today. Next week, or not next week, next month, next class, we will be using a similar technique with the duck when we go to do duck confit. Now, one thing that's cool about pork jowl is that it does have a lot of fat, and you can treat it in a similar way that you can treat duck confit. So if you wanted to render the fat of this jowl once it's cured and ready to go, you can use that fat to confit the pork jowl in. We'll be going through the rendering process next time with the duck confit, because I'll have excess fat from the duck, and I'll show you how it can be rendered very simply in-house. I like to keep lard around my house. That's me personally. If you don't keep lard around your house, I would suggest it. Lardo is another thing that you can do, but that's a 6-month process. The jowl here already is about a 2-month process if you really want to do it well after the drying, which is next class. I will also demonstrate the drying process and the wrapping and hanging, and include many different ways that you can dry your meat and whatever you're curing. This time of year especially is great because it takes a lot of time, cooler temperatures, drier temperatures. Fortunately, a lot of us do have quite a bit of time right now, so you can take care of your curing process. It's a lot simpler than pickling. It doesn't take as much. It doesn't take as much space. So something good to do with meat, and I know we love our meat here in Montana. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your October. I'll see you in November, close to Thanksgiving.